Hey, let's talk some football. Fresh off the Alabama-Clemson championship game, how does that happen? I mean, you get such a margin to just – how does that happen?
That Lawrence kid is dynamic. I'm telling you, he made some throws that I don't think a lot of NFL quarterbacks would have thrown. Kind of reminds me of me a little bit when I was playing.
I thought the same thing.
Tall, skinny, long blonde hair, but
Richmond?
He was only 4 inches taller and probably had 10 times the cannon. But other than that,
is that where we're headed?
Yeah, right. No,
they all got to be this size?
I tell you what, man. I think it's living proof that sure you can run the ball, win a lot of games, but I think you need a trigger man that really that controls the game, doesn't turn the ball over, and can make those tough throws on third down especially. And he did it the whole night.
Oh, and Alabama had one of them too, though.
Yeah, they did. And up to that point, Tua had been a dominant player. I still don't think he's 100% healthy, but he didn't look like the same guy. I think what you found out with Alabama and Clemson was they were the two best teams, unquestioned the two best teams. They had the equal athletes. And you saw what happened. Clemson was more prepared. They looked like the better coached team, which doesn't happen with Saban very often. I think it puts to rest all that thought about which NFL team Alabama was going to beat. I guess now Clemson.
Well, if Clemson beat Bama, the Bills are in trouble.
But it was great. And I would say, what he has done, what Dabo has done with Clemson is impressive. And looks like he's not going anywhere, and his quarterback's not going anywhere, so they're going to be a force for a while.
You love seeing the Alabama coach pacing the sidelines without any answers.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, it's funny, too. Like, only Nick Saban is so evil that he will make you cheer for Dabo Swinney, right? Like, both of those guys are complete jerks. But what I found most interesting about this game, and Saban referenced it after the game a little bit, how they suffered on the back end. Alabama had no defensive line switch. They had 4 guys that could play, and they had no one to relieve them. How does a program like that, with the prestige that they have in a part of the country that just breeds these huge kids, how are they not able to recruit defensive linemen enough to beat Clemson? Because if they had 2 guys that could have rotated in, you're going to get better pressure, you're not going to get exhausted, and you noticed in the second half of the game when it got away from them, you had guys, hands on their hips, having a hard time breathing. 2 guys, 2 solid recruits, might have won you that game against Clemson if you had them there.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to say about Dabo, he's easy to sort of pick on a little bit because I get the impression that he's a really good guy. I mean, I'm listening to the people talk about him, and I listen to this. He sets up his schedule for his entire staff and the entire program 1 year in advance, gives people dates that he knows they shut the program down, they have dates for vacation, dates for days off. Very big believer in everybody understanding their roles, knowing well in advance. He wants people to have time with their family. You listen to the way players respond to him. Now, look, Nick Saban has some of that too, but I think he's been able to recruit, bring players in, players who love the program, and he doesn't appear to do it in a disrespectful way that at times I think that's what you get out of Saban.
Why don't you go ask that kicker that missed that field goal a couple of years ago and got screamed in his face multiple times on national television how kind and caring Dabo was.
That wasn't part of the plan.
A coach doesn't.
I did not put this on the itinerary.
A coach can't yell at a player.
Okay, yelling is one thing. Following him on national television, an 18-year-old kid and screaming in his face. Look at you, Mr. Tough Guy. I'm a tough blazer.
Bobby, last thing. So it's 4 times these teams have played now, and who's going to bet against a 5th? This is a problem for college football, don't you think, that it's so top-heavy?
I agree with you. I think the playoff system maybe should be expanded. Mike, I don't know what your opinion is on that, but maybe to 8 teams. But to Pat's point, I think Alabama, if it wasn't broke, don't fix it. Alabama dominated the line of scrimmage in every game they played this year. They were 3 and out how many times? Their defensive linemen were off the field all the time.
Sure.
So I think that, they weren't prepared for the pound and ground kind of system that Clemson gave them, as well as the ability to make those quick touchdown passes. So
Last thing.
Sure.
Very nice.